welcome to this episode of Ask Aviel. My name is Aviel. You can ask me questions so that we can share, learn, and grow together. In this episode, I would like to draw parallels between the story of David and Goliath, as well as King Hezekiah and the Ravshakeh. The scriptures I will be referring to are 1 Samuel chapter 17, 2 Kings chapters 18 to 19, 2 Chronicles chapter 32, and Isaiah chapters 36 to 37. The main protagonist in the story of David and Goliath is, of course, David. The name David means beloved. The main protagonist in the story of King Hezekiah and the Ravshakeh is King Hezekiah. His name, Hezekiah, comes from the name Kazak Yah, which means God strengthens. The main villain in 1 Samuel 17 is Goliath. He was an uncircumcised Philistine, which means that he had no covenant with the God of Israel. The main villains in the other story are King Sennacherib of Assyria and the Ravshakeh, the king's high-ranking official and field commander. In 1 Samuel 17, Goliath intimidated all Israel by saying, "Choose for yourselves a man and let him come down to me. If he is able to fight with me and kill me, then we will become your slaves. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then will you become our slaves and serve us. Today I defy the ranks of Israel. Give me a man so we may fight together." Goliath also mocked David by saying, "Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks?" Then Goliath the Philistine cursed David by his gods and said, "Come here, and I'll give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field." The Ravshakeh intimidated all the inhabitants of Judah the same way by saying, "You think Egypt is going to help you? Egypt is a splinter that will pierce a man's hand. God said to me, 'Go up against this land and destroy it. Your people will eat their own waste and drink their own urine.' Don't let Hezekiah persuade you to trust in the Lord by saying, 'The Lord will surely deliver us. This city will not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria.' Don't listen to Hezekiah who misleads you by saying, 'The Lord will deliver us.' Is not Hezekiah misleading you to let you die by famine and thirst?" In 1 Samuel 17, David reacted to Goliath's threats. He took his staff in his hand, chose 5 smooth stones from the valley, put them in the pocket of the shepherd's bag that he had, and, with his sling in his hand, he approached the Philistine. David said to the Philistine, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This very day, Adonai will deliver you into my hand, and I will strike you down and take your head off you, and I will give the carcasses of the Philistines' camp today to the birds of the sky and the wild beasts of the earth. Then all the earth will know that there is a God in Israel, and so all this assembly will know that Adonai delivers not with sword and spear, for the battle belongs to Adonai, and he will give you into our hands." In our second story, King Hezekiah reacted to the threats of the Ravshakeh by commanding his people not to answer him. So the people were silent and did not answer the Ravshakeh a word. And Hezekiah tore his clothes, covered himself with sackcloth, and went into the house of Adonai. He prayed. King Hezekiah set aside his royal robes. He considered himself a commoner, no longer royalty, but an ordinary man, made of dust, coming before God himself. He covered himself with sackcloth and went into the house of Adonai. He went in humility, mourning and prayer before God in the sanctuary. Hezekiah sent Eliakim the palace administrator, Shebna the scribe, and the leading priests, all wearing sackcloth, to the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos. This was significant because the name Eliakim is made up of the words El-Kum, which means God arises. The name Isaiah is made up of the words Yeshayahu, which means salvation of God. In our first story, on the battlefield in the valley of Elah, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet the Philistine. David put his hand in his bag, took from it a stone and slung it. the stone supernaturally hit the forehead of Goliath. The stone sank into his forehead so that he fell forward with his face to the ground. Even in death, Goliath was forced to bow before the God of Israel. In the second example, King Hezekiah's prayer was effective. It moved heaven and affected earth. The angel of the Lord went out and put to death 185,000 in the Assyrian camp. When the people got up the next morning, there were all the dead bodies. So King Sennacherib of Assyria withdrew in disgrace to his own land. He went away and returned home and stayed in Nineveh. David prevailed over Goliath the Philistine with a sling and a stone. He struck the Philistine down and killed him. Since there was no sword in David's hand, David ran, stood over the Philistine, picked up his sword, drew it from its sheath, slew him, and cut off his head with it. When the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. In the story of the Assyrian king Sennacherib, one day, as he was worshipping in the house of his god Nisroch, his sons Adramelech and Sarezer struck him down with the sword and escaped to the land of Ararat. Then his son Esarhaddon became king in his place. Have you ever been in a position where there seems to be a giant looming tall above you, threatening you? Have you experienced having an enemy like the Ravshakeh mock you for your faith? What can we learn from David and King Hezekiah? What do you think David felt when he faced Goliath? What do you think King Hezekiah felt when the Ravshakeh intimidated the people? Probably David felt strong and courageous, while King Hezekiah probably felt low, demoralized, and in despair. He was at rock bottom. David ran forward towards the enemy, while King Hezekiah turned his face towards God for help. King Hezekiah went into the temple of the Lord. He tore his clothes and put on sackcloth. The king denied himself of royal food. He fasted and prayed in a position of humility and mourning. King Hezekiah did not rely on his own wisdom, but he sought counsel from a true man of God. He sought the counsel of prophet Isaiah. Do not fear Goliath or the Ravshakeh. Do not fear their taunts and their intimidation. Do not fear the enemy, for greater is he who is in us than he who is in the world. If we put our trust in God like David and King Hezekiah did, if we humble ourselves to seek God and yield ourselves to God, God Himself will ensure that we partake in His victory. Thank you for joining me. I pray that this message inspires and challenges you. God bless you and your family. Shalom.